I would like to have a short conversation with. Ken, could you join me on stage and tell us a little bit how you see the world?
Thank you for having me.
So people are very insecure about the prospects of journalism in the digital world. Some of the journalists think the golden times are over. It's going to be just a kind of delivery service for big tech companies. Some investors thought that it's not going to be a business. Others seem to be now very optimistic. Otherwise, we wouldn't have seen these high valuations. So how do you see the prospects, particularly with regard to a sustainable business model of digital content?
Well, first I should say that I think journalism is in better shape today than it's ever been. More outlets, more opportunities for journalists. And I'm not one of those who believe that the digital world has hurt journalism at all, but quite the opposite. Second of all, when I think about digital media, I'm old enough to remember the 1980s. Some of you are, some of you are not, looking out in the audience. You are? Okay. But I've also learned a lot over the years, and in the media investing industry, history repeats itself. I won't take us all back to the printing press, but if you go from print to radio to broadcast to cable and now to digital, it's always the same. And what I lived through in cable was first laying the pipes. And I worked at Warner Amex then, where we laid the pipes across America. And then when the pipes are laid, what happens? You need to fill the pipes with content. So the pendulum swings always from distribution to content. In the world today, the pipes are laid in the digital world. The social feeds that are driving all the talk about the digital world are only that. They're pipes. Facebook is a huge pipe. Snapchat is a huge pipe. But you need content. And it's a perfect time, has been over the last 10 years, and will continue to be, I think, escalating, accelerating, as a perfect time to create content. So think about the companies in the 1980s that created cable networks. They're all household names now. They're all the linchpin of the major traditional media companies in the world today. All of it was built on owning the content, going through the pipes. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see now. I already see it, but I think it's going to accelerate as more and more people sign on to digital media.
How is monetization going to be? Is it mainly advertising, financed, or will paid content play a role?
When I worked at AOL, we had something called a walled garden. That was in, I think 1998. And you had to pay for everything. And then the walled gardens got knocked down. And then there was a little bit of time when everyone thought, well, everything is going to be free. I think you see that pendulum, not I think, I know you see that pendulum swinging back now, not only advertising, but subscriptions. So if you look at the New York Times, which is maybe the best example, they went from free to now having over 1 million paid subscribers. It's a great success for the New York Times. So I think it'll be a combination of advertising and paid content. You also...
So you think paid is going to be a kind of industry standard in a couple of years?
No, I know it will be. I don't think it will be. I think for sure. Because you just have to look at consumer habits changing now. And you look at Netflix, you look at Apple, you look at Hulu, you look at video programming. So if you close your eyes and imagine what's the internet going to look like 4 years from now, 5 years from now, video will be a very strong driver of it. Today we have companies that are just at the beginning of the transformation from non-video to video, and the advertising world is lined up behind video. I just saw, I didn't sleep very well because I'm still on New York Times, so I got up in the middle of the night and I just saw, I think I'm quoting this right, for the first time, television advertising in the US year to year is down because of digital. So I think you're going to see video advertising take off like a rocket ship, because as soon as in any media business, as soon as you see advertising start to fall, the new one clicks in.
It's almost symbolic that another news of the day is that Disney invested into Vice more than they used to be invested in.
At a $4 billion valuation. Yeah. So if you take a look at the top tier, Huffington Post, Vice,
Vox.
BuzzFeed, and Vox. All of them, I think, are maybe in the third inning.
Are ad blockers going to be a game changer?
No, I don't even think about ad blockers. I think we won't even be talking about ad blockers 2 years from now.
So what are the big trends? I mean, SEO-based models of distribution seem to be the standard. Now we see a lot of models like now this, where we are both invested. They are 100% social distribution. They don't even have a website. If you click the website, they say, website, that's an old world. So is that going to be the big trend into the direction of social distribution?
I'll use the pendulum example again. If it's distribution to content, within content, it's SEO to social. And also, it's non-video to video. So tomorrow's digital media properties, most consumers will go in the back door, meaning through the social feeds, not direct to the URL. In the Huffington Post, when we launched, it was 90% at the beginning direct. It then went maybe 70 direct, 30 backdoor. With BuzzFeed now, which is 7 years old, it's about 80% through the backdoor and only 20% direct. So the whole industry has shifted enormously. That shift will continue. Obviously, brands matter enormously. 20 years ago, it took 20 years to start a brand. 5 years ago, 5 years. Yeah. Today, you can start a brand in a year. And Business Insider is a great example of that. Business Insider, from 0 to 100 in 7 years. Tomorrow, it'll be the biggest brand in business worldwide, I think. I don't want to put down any competitors, but we all know that we're not reading the same business publications today as we did yesterday. Maybe some of you are, you should stop. But the young millennials are not reading their father's business publication and will never go back. So the famous names that we followed years ago won't be on the scene in 5, 6 years from now.
Particularly video reach for Tech Insider, the new product that Business Insider has launched, went up dramatically, mainly driven also by social distribution, mainly coming from Facebook, which in a way you could also argue creates a certain dependency on Facebook. How do you see that?
So for me, Facebook today is the internet. That's good and that's bad as an investor. The good part is you have to take advantage of it. You can't build a content company without building it with Facebook as your partner. However, you can't be 100% dependent upon Facebook. So you have to have your distribution over all the social feeds. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. Snapchat, I think, is going to be a massive company. More than any other social feeds, it will have a real spot up there with Facebook and will live next to Facebook, mainly because it's all video. And video is the future.
Which role will the tech giants, the GAFA companies, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, play in the content world? They all need content and developing strategies.
I would be very surprised, no matter what they say today, if they didn't all start acquiring content companies within the next 5 years. Again, if you look at cable as an example, Comcast, Cablevision, Time Warner, we don't want content, we don't want to own content, we don't want to own content. They all own content. I would imagine that the exact same thing is going to happen 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, but you see them more as distributors of content than as creators of content. Will this be the role of the digital native companies, or how is that going to be balanced?
Well, I think what I was talking about is I think there'll be buyers of big content companies later on. I don't think they'll create their own content. Yeah. I think they're smart enough to realize that they have wonderful businesses now, and unless you know how to do it, it can be a difficult business. So they're going to be happy where they are. Yeah. But I think eventually they and others will be buyers of content businesses that are started yesterday and tomorrow.
Yeah. What is your biggest worry about the content industry? Is there anything that you think is really threatening?
I'm pretty happy. We see 1,500 companies a year. We invest in 50. We've been doing this for 5 years now. I'm only more interested and more excited and more optimistic about content companies.
potentially the digital content companies can achieve higher margins than the analog ones because they have lower costs. They have no paper costs, no distribution costs, no printing costs, basically technology, marketing, and editorial.
Oh, I think a mature content company will have extremely healthy margins. Yeah. No doubt about that. We see it in some of our mature companies now.
Okay, Kenny, to conclude, because you have to get a flight, let's have a kind of visionary outlook. How is the media landscape going to look like in 10 years? Which role are the tech companies playing? Which role are the digital native media companies playing? Which role are the legacy companies playing? Will they still be around? How do you see the big picture in a 10-year case from now?
If I was here this afternoon, I'd have everybody put a name in a hat of the big traditional media companies that won't be around 10 years from now. Again, I've learned a long time ago not to say negative things about anybody. The three companies that are pursuing the right digital strategy today, I think, are Axel, are NBC Comcast, and Disney. The ones that, and maybe News Corp, although we'll have to see how the next generation decides how to invest. The companies I haven't mentioned are companies that won't make the transition. They won't out of stubbornness. They won't because the CEOs, and you'll laugh, are riding out their tenure. They're not 55, they're older. I think that matters. And those companies are not being aggressive, and I think they will be static, and then they will be sold. So I think 6, 7, 5, 8 years from now, the companies we all know, Apple, Google, Facebook, etc., I think you, Comcast, Disney, maybe News Corp.
Okay, Kenny, since you have mentioned us among the survivors, I think we should conclude here. It can't get better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.